Well, I got a little drip, and it's coming from the forks. I had it again. It's always something. This time, it's gonna be the fork shield. So this is gonna be a video based on doing the RZ fork shields, I guess. More can you ask, right? First off, it was a radiator, and now it's fork shield. So got some in from All Balls. Gonna try and replace them. Never done fork seals before. Actually, I lie. I did them on my dirt bike back in the day, but gonna have to do them now on this RZ. So inverted forks, never done that. So all new process to me. So we're gonna go ahead, get the forks disassembled or off the bike at least. Get them on the bench. So we're gonna have to take off the brake. I think I'm gonna take off. We'll take the front wheel off. We'll have to do the fender and slide the forks out that way. So we're gonna do that right now, and then we'll get it on the bench. Take a look. First thing first, get the wheel off here. That already loosened up. And we'll pop that right off, slide out the axle nut, and pull the whole wheel off. That. Nuts out. Now, real question is, oh shit. Before I do that, I gotta take the brake calipers off so that I can slide it out. It's pinching back in there. So we'll go ahead and get those brake calipers off quick too. Well, in the process, I also realized this bike wants to lean forward. So gotta have a jack under there to keep the front end up here so that when we slide the fork tubes off, the whole bike just doesn't do a nosedive. So yeah, front brake caliper off on that side. Gonna work on this side here, and then wheel will come up. All right, wheel is rolled out, jankily held up by a jack stand right here. Might address that here in a minute with something a little bit different, but it's doing its job here. So fender comes off, a few other things, then we'll be able to slide out the forks after undoing the bolts up here. In addition, you gotta pull down the shroud here, pull the pin out, because the suspension pinch clamps, part of the pinch clamps are right here, and I also gotta get at taking this stabilizer arm off, which requires the horn to come off. What a pain. All right, first fork leg should slide right out. Chakalaka. This is the leaky one right here, but we're gonna do both because we got it out, right? So I'm sure we'll find more things in this fork too that are wrong, but hey, you can only hope, right? Now for fork leg number 2, I'm gonna take the horn off here. Got an Allen head right here for the stabilizer, so we'll do that. Stuff is like never easy, right? It's just a simple fix. Giant pain, but I guess that's why I like doing it, right? Because at the end of the day, if it didn't take you a while and it wasn't hard, would it really be that enjoyable? I mean, right? Jeez, I put that on there tight. Guess I was worried about that steering stabilizer coming off. Steering stabilizer. I don't know why. Something tells me this steering stabilizer was a major pain in the butt to get on and off. I don't know if oh, don't tell me I gotta take. We have to. Well, you're damn right there's another one on that side. Oh, dang it. Maybe I was smart enough when I put it back, or when I took it apart. Oh, I was smart. I knew I was thinking. Praise God. I got my Allen through here. When I put it together, I knew I had to have been thinking about this. Thank God. I was thinking. Down. slide that son of a gun right off top. Dang, I was thinking. Fork tube number 2, disassembled. Now, before I start anything else, I am going to basically bag and tag, or at least secure the remaining parts that I have on the ground, and kind of get it all organized so that I can just solely focus on the fork legs and then come back to the front end installation, and I'll know where everything is. So I'm gonna do that now. Not really gonna film it. Okay, so got these laid out on the bench. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull off the dust seals here, and I'm going to take a look and see if there's clips in here. Usually that's the case, and the seals sit inside of here. I don't know, usually on dirt bikes you disassemble one top and the bottom top, and they come apart like a slide hammer almost, and pulls out the seal once the clip's out. So we're going to get those pulled off. I'm probably going to end up draining out any of the oil in it too as well. And let's just see. So let's do that. All right, one seal off here. This one's all decrepit, broken up. Then it does appear that there is a clip inside of here. So we'll get the other seal off and go from there. This is a major pain. These seals are not fun. This one might be okay because it's not so decrepit. Yeah, this one's way easier than the other one. The other one took me like 15 minutes here off camera to get off. This one will come right off because it's not decrepit. This is the one that's leaking. Dripping out. She was a leaker. That's for sure. Get that all cleaned up. Next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drain the oil here. So I just pressing down. There's a spring in here obviously, and there's oil in here. So gonna go ahead and drain the oil. Hopefully that gives me a little bit more wiggle room here to push down, and then I'll be able to go in there and take that clip off and pull that seal, hopefully. I don't know, never done it. Ooh. Ain't really much for oil in there. Oh, push down on it. Oh, jeez. Jeez, that one shot out everywhere. Oh, I just stained up my nice rug. I guess that's why you take the air pressure out. What do you know? Took the air pressure out on the other one, but I didn't on this one. Hey, guess that's why. Boys and girls, I know I'm fast forwarding here. I know jumping a little bit ahead. I had some major success. So I wasn't filming for a lot of reasons. I watched a few videos on how to take these apart, and they claim that the seals for the oil have to come out hydraulically. I don't believe that's the case. These are just like a dirt bike, would be. So you can pull the tubes apart. Well, there is a Allen head nut or bolt here in the bottom of the fork. As you would imagine, you're unable to get an actual Allen head in there that's the right size with a socket on it because it's too far up in there. So I have been screwing around for the last 2 hours modifying Allen heads. Fortunately, I got this one without stripping it out, but I had another one that did get stripped out, and boy, I got it out. The Duralast Easy Out, man, thank God. Got that thing out of there. It was so scary for a minute there, guys. I thought I was going to be drilling into stuff really pleased to show that I did not drill into anything except the bolt. Yes, patience is key with this. Go super slow. I got it out, so now finally these forks will actually both come apart. I'll show the top pulling out the spring on the other fork in a little bit different light, maybe tomorrow. But for now, this is where I quit. I got my victory. I got my one stupid bolt out. Yes, now to order 2 new ones, so I never strip them out. Thank God. Yes. All right, so a little bit later at night, I went ahead and disassembled the forks here. Got the screen a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, so anyways, this is the top cap. Basically, the way you do this is you take these screws that are in the bottom of the fork, or here, better shown on this one. Boom, they sit in here like that. You're gonna go da 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 da, and you're gonna pull that out just like that. Second thing you're gonna do is you're gonna bleed as much air out of this as possible. Then you wanna drain the fluid, of course. And then this cap just comes off with it's super easy. You just twist it off with just like a pliers or anything. And then it pulls out the internals. So essentially, it comes apart and looks something like this. You can pull the 2 tubes apart. Once you get the spring out, once you pull the spring out, you can just basically take them and slide hammer them apart, and it comes out just like this. So we're gonna go ahead and replace these seals, and then in the light, I think I'll be able to show you guys a lot better how the reassembly process. And it's probably gonna take me a little bit because I'm gonna have to go find some new Allen heads that fit this. But at the end of the day, I am so happy I got these bad dogs out. Otherwise, I think that's gonna conclude this little thing for now. JK, I went ahead and pulled out the oil seals here, just literally with a screwdriver. You just pry them up. They came out really, really easy. So I'm putting the old seals back in, and how I'm doing this without a seal driver is I'm actually using the old seal, putting it on top of the new seal, and taking my rubber mallet here and pounding it in. It's actually a pretty easy process. I might be able to show you all on camera here. It's a little bit bad lighting, but nonetheless will be okay. So these are directional, so you want to make sure you put them in the right way. These things slide in pretty nice and easy, so you can almost push them almost all the way in. So I'm taking the old one, slide over the top, and then basically seats itself in, and the old one you can pull right out. Super easy. So if you can see in the light here, so you just want to make sure it gets all driven in good. So you can hit it a couple times. The rubber on rubber ain't gonna hurt nothing, so that's the best part about doing it this way. Yeah. So as a fun fact, I did this completely wrong. Of course, as you would imagine. So there's your ring here. So pull the old seal out, and inside here, I'm gonna try and find some light so you guys can see. Inside of here, there's a little copper brass piece in here, and the only way to get this back in here is you got to have that copper piece out, because it slides in and then the copper goes over here and gets hammered in with the seal. So I gotta show. I took a pretty nifty little deal here. Clean this up. I took my slide hammer here, and I'm able to pull out the brass piece and get it in there. So that's what I've been doing to reassemble this. It's a big pain in the butt, but hey, it's doing it. Okay, so it's the next day. Got all the parts, and I'm gonna actually show in the light now, because I realized the video was probably pretty bad of putting this back together, and I realized I had been doing it wrong the whole time. So first things first, you pulled out the slide tubes together, which you show, and then you have the dampener piece in here that slides in here. There's this brass bushing on here, and there's also a brass bushing inside of here, right down in here, which I don't know if you can see well or not. So what I had to do, and what you have to do, you cannot reinsert the 2 tubes together without pulling that brass sleeve out. So to take a slide hammer and pull it out. So I'm gonna go ahead, yank this out with a slide hammer, and I'll show you then the process to put everything back. Don't install the oil seal. If you watch the prior part, don't install it yet. I'll show you how to do it the right way now. All right, so brass bushing is out just like that. Super, super easy. Okay, so what you're gonna do here is you are going to take your tube here. You're gonna stick your tube and set it all the way down in there, just like that. You're gonna take the copper, you're gonna put that copper back on there. I'm gonna take the washer, this is a steel washer, slide it on there. Now, you need to go in and tap that brass back in. So what I do is I take a screwdriver and I tap really nicely around the fork and seat that brass piece in. So I'm gonna do that now. Okay, so brass piece not quite in there all the way, so I'm just gonna keep going around. It's easy to work 180 degrees. And make sure you don't hit the fork tube either. All right, I think that brass piece is in there as close as it's gonna get. So now is when you can stick the oil seal on. So the oil seal does have a direction, so make sure when you remove it, but it's typically, if you look at it, it's got a much wider top to it than the bottom. You'll know when you see the seal. So that end goes in, just like that. And then what I do is I take an old seal, route it on top like this, and then you can take a screwdriver and stick it in the old seal and do the same exact 180 degrees and push it around. The old seal shouldn't get stuck in there. Just like that. See, the old seal comes out, the new one sits in there, and it's seated perfectly below. You want it to below where the snap ring goes in. All right, next is to put the snap ring on. Go ahead and pinch that all together. Yep. Okay. Next form action. I'm going to take the bolt. This is the new one I got. Put some Allen head, some stuff on it. Blue Loctite. That's what you want on there. Bingo bango. I do put quite a bit. Not a big deal because it don't really matter too much. And then you're going to take your Allen and you're going to stick it in the bottom here, and you're going to twist it in. I think it's easier if you do it from the bottom like this with it down, because then it'll grab into the threads a lot nicer. Okay, so it's threaded in there. Now, they do say you need to run these at like 15 foot-pounds. I just am doing it really tight, so I'm putting it on here. And then I got a wrench on my Allen key, and I'm just doing it till it's as tight as I can, basically hand tight. Perfect. It does, and that's what the blue Loctite is for. The blue Loctite will help hold that in. On top of it, it's got a copper crush washer on there, so it's really not meant to be ultra tight by any means. That's a really good thing. Okay, so just like that, the fork is actually reassembled, all said and done. So now we can go ahead and do the oil. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the oil process. So it basically works like this. You need to put oil into the tube. I'm using 10 weight fork oil here. Now the amount does matter, but I'm pouring the rest. I already did one, so I'm gonna pour the rest of the rest of the bottle into there. This is what it is here, 10 weight fork oil, just standard fork oil. The big thing is you want to take the spring out. The fork needs to be fully compressed. when it's fully compressed, you need to measure from the top of the tube 4.72 inches. That's where the water, or where the oil should be filled to. So I took a piece of cardboard. All I did was I did it to 4.72 inches, and then I cut it out. So you can see about where the oil is going to be, roughly. Okay, so once the oil's in there, you just put a rough amount in there. You want to massage the oil into the fork. You want to be able to press it back and forth like this a few times and treat it like you would yourself. Right? Yep. All the memes out there online are going to be going crazy at me. Okay, so now that it's done, I am then going to go in and take my measuring device. I'm going to stick it in here. Whoop. And I'm not there at the end, so I need to go in and fill it up with more fork oil. So top it off basically until my nifty thing hits the bottom here of the piece of cardboard, and then we're done. So, but it's when it's fully compressed, that's a big key. When the fork is fully compressed, when it's pushed in together without a spring, it's the #1 thing. All right, so I just got done topping this thing off. Now what you do, take the spring, and if you see, the spring is a different size at the bottom than it is the top in terms of spacing. So the tighter rolls go to the top. Add that all the way in there like that. I like to pull it all the way up, and then stick your piece of your top part of the fork on there. Stick it in and screw it on. It's easier if you do it on the ground. And we'll use just a pliers, get it all the way tight. This does not have to be super, super tight. Snug. Perfect. Like that, your forks are done. Then you can put the seal back on top. Alrighty, just like that, we can take the forks and go install them on the front. So I'm gonna go ahead, get these bad dogs back on there, and in the next clip you'll see it all fully back. And then I have one more thing we got to do to the fork to be perfect. Also, something I forgot to mention is make sure you torque everything to the correct torque specs. These clamps are only 14 foot-pounds, so it's really important. Otherwise the bike will not ride the way you think it's going to ride. Super important. Torque specs are really important on suspension. I would not do anything more or less than the torque specs. Boom. Front end on, everything is torqued. The last thing, and why you see out the compressor out, is we need to put air to the forks. See the chuck up under there? So these forks take a maximum of 17 pounds of pressure according to the manual. I usually put 10, 12 in max, and then on each side, and just leave it at that. So that's it. Once we put air in it, we are done, and you can go test and go ride and have fun. So that's how you do fork seals on a RZ 350, or at least a way to do them. So stay tuned for more videos. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment as always. Thanks.